So I was sent this by one of our Slack channel members, a dear friend of mine. I won't name him because I'm going to say pointed things. But basically, the post is about a recent buying experience that Mark had. For those who don't know Mark, he was the SVP of sales at Outreach and then the CRO at Catalyst for a short period of time. And he basically made a post about a frustrating buying experience where he called this company and he said, I have budget. I know my problem. I just have a couple of questions. Answer them for me. And we can do this really quickly. And then the AE on the other side, in the story at least, was not very skilled, did not sound like an elite AE. But if you separate yourself from exactly how they were saying something, it's what they were doing that I think is interesting, which is they were asking questions. They were asking questions, and that really annoyed Mark. And so he wrote this post, and it's okay, people get annoyed. I found the comments fascinating. Like, this post went viral, and almost a big chunk of our community, like thought leaders, etc., they were all in there, and they were talking about how this company should just take the sale. What are you doing? Take the sale. Meet the buyer where the buyer is. You just take the sale. And it sounded like a bunch of sales leaders, not go-to-market professionals. I think the differentiation between sales and go-to-market is sales. When it was siloed, the problem was salespeople brought in deals by selling dreams and doing the wrong things that would churn. It's why we decided to have one person on top of it all, who's accountable for NRR and understands that I need to qualify things, I need to bring in the right quality customers, I need to manage expectations because otherwise it churns. So I was just really surprised at the community and even his stance. He's a CRO and he was talking like a sales leader. And so am I right? Am I wrong? AJ, like, do you think that they should just take the sale when the sale's available? Or do you think we have to ask questions?
First off, this AE is just doing their job. So like, let's give the person that's doing it a little bit of grace. I know he didn't name names. He named himself there, but like, it felt like it was more of an attack on the person than it was the company or the process.
Yeah.
Secondly, and I think that I said this, and there was a comment you said, is like, at the end of the day, what we're talking about is you want to find really good customers. You want to find customers that you're solving the right problem. You might have a problem and think you know the solution, but if it doesn't 100% fit, then maybe it isn't a good fit. He was disqualifying. Was the person, and I say he, I think it was he, the sales rep, was he going about it in a way that was like in the, the best, most engaging relationship?
No.
It doesn't sound like it.
Yeah.
I think I probably would have said like, look, fine, you clearly have an agenda coming into this conversation. You want to be heard. Fine. Let's hear it. Tell me all the things that you need to make sure, and just all of the things so you can feel like you're heard. And that is the point that I think was I think that you're right. Go to market versus sales leaders.
Yeah.
Really great sales leaders listen. And I'm surprised to hear like that he's taking this to LinkedIn publicly when it didn't feel like there was a lot of listening going on.
And our community just jumped on this bandwagon. Like, I was actually disappointed at the hundreds of comments from thought leaders and elite leaders. It made me really, I used to wonder why we had churn as such a big problem in the ecosystem. After reading the comments, I was like, yeah, like, we're supposed to have a churn problem in this ecosystem. We're like at the early days of becoming a go-to-market community. We were a sales versus this versus that community for decades. It's going to take a lot longer to break out of those bad habits and tendencies. And this really stood out to me as
it could have been just someone, I don't know, again, don't know him, like trend jacking off of the popular Lemkin posts on NPS or whatever, CX at the beginning of the year, where that got a lot of traction.
But that was Jason, a good one, right? Like, he was
I mean, I actually felt like that one was coming from a standpoint of like trying to help everyone out, where this one was just complaining and whining about
Sam, what are your thoughts on this? What do you think this says about our community and where we are in this journey? That was I didn't want to highlight this just to beat up Mark. It was more so a commentary on our community. So what do you think this says? Or general thoughts?
No, general thoughts. Well, Willie just got a haircut and he looks great, and he hadn't had a bath in a while, and he smells really good.
I heard him barking in the background a little bit.
That was Ozzy. Ozzy is so annoying. I've got 3 dogs here: Abe, Ozzy, and Willie. So that's one thing. General thought. Second general thought is
Sorry.
No,
What are your specific thoughts about this?
no, I agree with what you guys are saying. I thought it was really interesting because in our group text, that was AJ's first comment, was this AE is just trying to prevent churn. And I
Yeah.
thought, and I'm, as you're talking about the difference between sales and go to market, I think this is another reason why people are frustrated with subscriptions, because you're sort of you're closing the deal as quickly as you can, locking them into some kind of auto renewal or 12-month agreement, calling it recurring revenue. You didn't really listen. You weren't really focused on making sure that it was a good customer, one that was lined up to succeed. And the consequence, I mean, I'm just thinking, again, it's the same thing I was just talking about as it relates to omakase. If somebody showed up on our doorstep and said, this is what I'm going to use it for, I know what it does, I know what Pavilion does, you don't need to tell me. That's not true. That they do need to be onboarded.
You're
People
so
that aren't
right,
onboarded,
Sam. Like the
of
point you
course, but
just
which
made,
part? About how Willie
the
smells? He
Pavilion
does
thing.
smell
So you
great.
and I got to know each other in 2017 or 18. Pavilion Revenue
Yep.
Collective had 200 members, and we knew each other. We had a relationship. And when I actually became involved, I went into this call with Brian thinking that I know Pavilion better than you, dude. Like I knew Pavilion when it wasn't even like 1,000 members. Like I got this. And in that call, I remember thinking, I was like, I had no idea. Like, I didn't know any of this stuff. And I was a partner and I introduced hundreds of people to it. I just didn't know the complete breadth of what you guys had built. And I was close to the firm.